Tom Slocum, the man of the hour. We got potential candidate for Texas Railroad Commission.
Oh, I am a candidate.
You are a candidate.
Oh, yeah.
But
Definitely.
potential railroad commissioner.
Correct.
All right, this is how it's going to work. You're on the hot seat today. You don't have a lot of time, so you got about 60 seconds to answer questions, which I know is hard for you. You like to talk a lot.
I'll try to keep it under 30 so we can get through all the questions.
There you go.
You know,
all right.
Try to power boost this baby.
We got some questions from Twitter.
Okay.
I thought this was a good first question because most people don't even know what the Railroad Commission is.
Yeah.
It's kind of irrelevant to a lot of people.
Yeah.
What responsibilities does a railroad commissioner have that most people don't realize?
Well, most people don't even realize that the Railroad Commission governs oil and gas, but the ones that do, that are in the know, okay, they know about that. But then there's a lot of people that have no idea that they govern mining as well. And I would say that's probably the one thing that they have no idea. Like, mining? Really? Yeah, mining. In fact, yeah.
Why is it called the Railroad Commission?
Well, a long time ago, they had this whole agency that did nothing but govern the railroads. And the railroads were a big deal back in the day. You couldn't do anything without them. And so they did all the surveying. And if you look at all these old oil and gas leases, they're all railroad commission or railroad surveys, railroad company surveys. And a lot of money came through the state for that. And so that was a really big deal. It was just as big as oil and gas was. And so they decided to clump it all underneath one big bureaucracy instead of having multiple bureaucracies, which is kind of the conservative thing to do. So not so much of a big deal today, though, because we're not out there building railroads, really. The one thing that we're building is a light rail in Texas. That's being done with private money. The government's not building that. That's terrific. And we don't regulate that at all. We have no jurisdiction over that. So, we need to probably change the name.
So what's your plan for Texas abandoned well liability? I know that you're heavily involved in this space. What's your plan?
Well, yeah.
You got to keep it short.
Yeah. So, we've got about, to my guess, $200 million. It's not like billions like Carbon Tracker says, but my plan to get rid of it is to actually find money from outside of our general money bucket that we have right now, which is $30 million a year. That's all we get. And so we can't, $30 million a year is simply not enough. You have to have more money. How are you going to do that? To me, the obvious answer, and this wasn't told to me by one of my friends. This was told to me by people that work for Senator Ted Cruz, which was to start a nonprofit. And I'm not the only person that got involved with this. There's lots of people that have, and there's lots of nonprofits, and so they can raise money and they can supplement our taxpayer money. All right, so we can raise money from the industry, from private citizens to help do this. It would supplement the money we spend. We don't have to raise bonding anymore, which Republicans did, by the way. Greg Abbott and Republicans in the Texas legislature raised bonding on oil and gas companies this year. And at the same time, they're like, well, wind, maybe you don't need any bonds at all. We'll just subsidize you completely. And if you don't want any bonding in certain counties, there's judges that are taking campaign donations from big wind so they can get zero bonding. And that's not good. So there's lots of issues out there with bonding, but we don't need to be raising bonding on oil and gas companies. That's not going to help us out right now. That's not going to plug any more wells right now. It's not going to solve anything. We need actual action. We need money from outside of the traditional taxpayer-based money that's coming in from bonding and from the state.
So that leads me into my next question. Do you prefer round toe or square toe boots?
That's an excellent question. Let me see your boots. You can tell what I got on right now. It's definitely round toe.
Do you think Twitter's going to be upset about that?
They get upset about so many things. There was a lady that commented on LinkedIn actually about my jeans. I had some oil on my jeans because I had been out working in the field. Go figure. Have you ever gotten oil on your jeans when you're working in the field? Answer me that. Have you? I mean,
yeah, I've got oil on my jeans.
Okay, all right. So that happens. It's a real deal, like. Yeah, I mean, so I've got so much BS since I've launched my campaign.
So I'm looking at your website right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to read a part of your website.
Okay.
It says, I will fight for border security, and I'll make sure we finish building the wall. As one of the chief regulatory agencies in the state, we will make sure that securing our state is a top priority. We must finish the wall in order to protect our residents and our vital energy infrastructure from the undeniable threat that weak border security promises. Texas must do what Joe Biden has failed to do, finish the wall that Donald Trump started. Are building walls in the Railroad Commission's scope of work?
There's a lot of things that aren't in the Railroad Commission's scope of work that people in Texas care about, and that when you're a statewide elected official, you have a microphone and you can talk about. All right. I've gotten all kinds of questions on Twitter. Somebody asked me earlier, what do you think about the legalization of marijuana? Last time I checked, that's not underneath the Railroad Commission jurisdiction either. But people are interested. They want to know these things when they go to vote for somebody for a statewide office. It doesn't matter whether or not you have jurisdiction over or not. If they're going to ask you a question, you need to give them an answer. It needs to be honest. I just so happen to be very conservative. I have very conservative values. So it's going to come out when you start asking me these questions. I'm also running in the GOP primary in Texas, so that may the best man win. But people in the GOP primary voters tend to be very conservative. They're not going to want to vote for somebody that's liberal. And I'm not someone that's liberal. You can check my voting record. I wish you'd asked me who I voted for in the past 20 years.
Who'd you vote for president?
For president?
Yeah.
When? What year?
Previous election.
This past election,
Joe
Donald
Biden.
Trump, no doubt. Donald Trump, 100%.
Oh, that does not shock me.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. But you could ask me about who I voted for in primaries. It'd be even more interesting. See,
why do you want to build a wall
in
in Texas though? We have lots of Mexicans that work in the oil field. You Mexicans? You don't like Mexicans?
Dude, there's a lot of people that have been in Texas for a long time, right? I love people from foreign countries. Building a wall doesn't mean you hate Mexicans. Come on, man. That's hilarious, though. You know what? Let me tell you a quick story. My best friend from college, he is Mexican. He's from Del Rio. He was a Democrat. His father was on the school board in Del Rio. All right? Democrat, lifetime Democrat. Guess what? When Donald Trump came along, they all voted for Donald Trump. They all turned into Republicans. And a lot of their friends in Del Rio did. And so you'd be surprised how many Mexicans on the border in Del Rio are now Republicans. It is a sea change wave. It is happening on the border. If you go down there, you'll see it. So, just get prepared. I'll be down there on the border soon talking to them.
When you're on your website, got this picture. I'm going to bring up this picture.
Yeah.
The thumb and the belt loop. That's a power pose. Where did you learn that at?
Where did I learn that at?
Yeah.
That's a photographer, man. That's all.
Dude,
I gotta give him mad props for that. I had a good photographer that day.
I'm about to start doing that. So I was practicing
It's your West Texas pose.
Yeah,
That's your country pose.
Where's my belt?
Yeah, man.
I was like, I don't know if you put where you put your hand at though. You gotta
it's very specific.
You covering the balls, you're not covering the balls. Speaking of that, are you willing to show any skin in the Railroad Commissioner race? Because there's some candidates that are.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I've seen some TikToks. Some people are showing skin. Is Tom Slocum showing any skin?
I'm going to keep it professional.
You're going to keep it professional?
I'm a conservative here running for office, statewide office in Texas. I'm going to try to keep this as serious as we can for the voters in electric. I think they would probably appreciate that if they want to take me serious.
Yeah.
Would be a good thing.
Who do you think your toughest competition is?
My toughest competition?
Yeah.
Well, the incumbent, because he's got name ID and he's been there and he's got endorsements. I mean, there were people in June, all right, and I could name names, very big names in energy, like authors of books from California who decided they would endorse Wayne in June before anybody else announced. To me, that's so stupid. I would never do that in a million years. Why wouldn't you want to actually see who's running into the race before you come out and start endorsing people like that way over in June? That's silly. I write people like that off immediately because that tells me they're not a serious person.
What do you think makes you better for this position than Wayne?
Than Wayne? Well, listen, Wayne has no field experience at all, right? He's never spent a day in his life on the back of a wireline unit or a pulling unit or a drilling rig. Never. Okay. What he has are donors that like to put disposal wells and they like to put big landfills in wherever they want to. All right. They decided, the High Roller Club, they wanted to put in a landfill at the headwaters of the Sabine River. And so they just keep writing Wayne checks. They probably wrote checks to Christie too, but yeah, they do that so they can try to get what they want. When I announced these people in Sabine, the GOP chairman over there called me up immediately and said, "Hey, Tom, you got to come here, man. We have problems with Wayne. We don't like what's going on here. He's taking money from people They want to put in an oil field landfill 200 feet high and 1,000 feet long in the middle of all of our creeks and rivers that go into the Sabine River. That's all the fresh water for East Texas. This guy's plumb crazy.
So that leads into the next question from Twitter. Do you think it's a good idea to have campaigns primarily funded by the people that they're supposed to be serving or regulating?
You know, this is a free country. You can take money from wherever you want to, but if you take money from somebody and you start doing special favors for them, you know, the writing's on the wall. And that's what goes on. And I mean, that's what's going on right now. It happens all the time at the Railroad Commission. People get treated differently. Look, I used to help operate 2 small operators. We didn't get treated special by any means. You know, we're not sitting here making campaign contribution checks. We're not big guys either. We were small peas, but we had to follow the rules and we were expected to. And so if you're a big company and you're sitting here, you know, writing massive campaign checks and you're expecting to get your permits approved whenever you want to, you're expecting when things go sour or bad your way, that the Railroad Commission is going to be there in your corner because you're writing checks. To me, that's very unfair for all the small guys out there. And listen, there are a lot more small operators out there than there are big operators. Now, there might be more people employed by those big operators, but they see through the BS, you know, and they know what the deal is.
So, Thomas Slocum, Thomas the Train, Texas Railroad Commission. See where I'm going here? Do you think this is destiny for you to be railroad commissioner?
You know, it's hilarious, man. When I was talking to my consultant and we were getting my little campaign logos made up, I don't know who made them. It must have been somebody from Virginia that has no idea what the Railroad Commission is, because they made one of them that was like Thomas Slocum with a big train underneath it. That's all I could think about when I saw that. I was like, Thomas the Train. That's
you know
hilarious.
What the picture for this video is going to be? It's going to be Thomas Slocum on Thomas the Train.
You're going to put my face on front of a train? It's going to be great. Yeah. It's hilarious. Yeah.
For egregious violations of existing Railroad Commission rules, are you willing to throw the book at reckless operators giving the industry a bad name? And if something were bad enough, would you refer an operator to the Attorney General for criminal prosecution?
You know, that's quite the question. It's a very good question, too. I don't think I've seen any case like that, precedent like that before, where the Railroad Commission has. However, going back to equal treatment of operators, kind of like what I was talking about before, if you have rules, you have to apply them equally across the board. And if we have you know, criminal law, like here in Harris County, the criminal law is kind of out of control. The judges right now, they're not enforcing a lot of the laws. They're letting people out, criminals that have shot people, like attempted murder, whatever, you know, all these terrible crimes, felonies, Class A felonies. All right. These people are walking. That's not a good thing for Harris County. Okay. If you have the same thing at the Railroad Commission where you have egregious violators that are walking scot-free basically all the time, that just breeds more of that, and it breeds corruption, and it's not good. It breeds what we call in the Republican Party crony capitalism, and that's exactly what it is. And Ron Paul and Rand Paul and many libertarians have been railing against crony capitalism for a long time, and so have I. I don't like it one bit. I think it's unfair. And I think it's out of control in some cases. And I think there's probably some cases in Texas where there's some crony capitalism that needs to come to an end. And it's starting to come pretty clear and evident. If the media would do their jobs, we would know all about it. But the media in Texas is just really I'm I'm not impressed so far.
So I'm pulling this from your website. On your website, it says, as your railroad commissioner, I bring a wealth of knowledge and understanding of the Bitcoin energy revolution to educate other oil and gas experts so that Texas becomes the world's leader in cheap and plentiful energy production, maximizing our use of existing fields and wells in our great state. I will focus on adopting smart, energy-strong policies while maintaining a stable job creation strategy to support and strengthen our economy through independent oil and gas and energy production. Real quick, tell me what you're thinking about Bitcoin mining in Texas.
Quick answer to that is we've got all this flare gas everywhere. A lot of it's not being used for anything. All right. That's money that's just being wasted. That's energy that's not being stored or used. Now, if we can convert all of that flare gas to electricity for mining, we can have Bitcoin mining, which actually adds taxpayer-based dollars to the economy, which is wonderful. So the Texas makes more money immediately instead of setting that gas on fire. We're already net positive making money. All right, that's expanding business. But number two, if we can get ERCOT licenses associated with all that mining and actually write a smart regulation that says this all has to be able to happen basically in a short period of time, and the feds will be the biggest hurdle, and I guess that's probably 2 years, but find a way to streamline this so that way we can have a layer of insurance built in. So if it ever gets really cold or really hot and power consumption is at an all-time high and the grid can't handle it, well, we can start turn off the Bitcoin mining here and there, and it'll make sense to sell that electricity instead of using it for Bitcoin mining. You just turn the mining off, sell the power to the grid, licenses are in place, have some kind of emergency situation set up. But that's an additional layer of insurance, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be doing that. Now, that doesn't need to be regulated into place, but we could actually help deregulate it into place. And you're like, well, what does that mean? Well, we could completely eliminate the flared gas tax altogether. All right. Now, right now, you can get an exemption for it on upstream situations for wells and leases after 12 months of flaring. You can get an exemption. 12 months. To me, that's way too long. All right. It needs to be like more like 1 week or immediately, really, like 1 week. Seriously. If you're going to have a flare gas situation, just get an exemption and start doing something with it. Like, you can't tell me that you can't put miners down for 12 months somewhere and not make money. I know you can. You know about Bitcoin mining yourself. So to me, like, we get rid of the flare gas tax completely. That's the way to go. Wyoming repealed it 2 years ago. All right. We haven't. All right. There's just no reason. And for flare gas tax, just so people know, that is a tax that you pay on gas if it's no longer being flared and you use it for something. You use it to make electricity. If you set the gas on fire, there is no tax. All right, currently, that's the way it is. And we can continue with that. That's fine with me. I don't care. But if I'm going to use that gas to do something with it, like make electricity, we shouldn't have to start paying taxes on it now when we're adding a benefit to the economy and we're making everybody more money. If you want to incentivize growth in Texas, we will completely eliminate the flare gas tax for upstream, midstream, downstream, altogether. Make sure there are no taxes involved with converting this flare gas to Bitcoin. And we'll do it now, and we'll have that additional layer of insurance built into our grid. It will bolster our grid, make us stronger, make us as energy strong as we possibly can. Because at the end of the day, it's all about supply and demand, and we want more supply when we need it.
Good answer. So I got a personal question for you. You have a degree in political science from Texas A&M. What's worse, having a degree in political science or a degree from Texas A&M?
When did you stop beating your wife? I absolutely love both of those things. I love Texas A&M, and I love the political science department there. And my professor, one of my favorite professors, John Robertson.
Tom, I think you're just pandering to the cult now. He's going for the A&M
cult. He handed me my degree when I walked across the stage. It was wonderful. No, absolutely. Political science was wonderful. And it taught me a lot about government before I started doing dealing with government. That's what I do on a daily basis, compliance and regulations. All right. If you know everything about the Texas Administrative Code, Title 16, Part 1, then heck, get at it, man. But I've been studying that stuff and dealing with it for years. There's 20 numbered chapters, but they got rid of a bunch of them. Now there's only actually 14 that are in effect.
Yeah.
And so if you know anything about them, you know that the number 3 is oil and gas. Well, I've been dealing with number 3 my whole life, man. I know the rules frontwards and backwards, man.
We got 2 minutes. I got a question for these other candidates, these other hopeful railroad commissioners. Now, I got respect for you because you come on Digital Wildcatters and you come talk to me. Some other people, they won't do it. Are they scared?
Are they scared?
Or are they scared? Why does no one want to debate? Why does no one want to talk about the issues?
They don't have real knowledge and experience.
Ooh.
That's it.
Ooh.
If you do, then you can listen. If there's a blowout and you have knowledge and experience, you go stand next to it and you'll sit there and talk to people about it. And you'll find out as much as you can and figure out how to solve the problem. If you don't, then yeah, you're not going to show up and start talking and sound stupid. It's the same thing when you do interviews with media. You think anybody would do what I'm doing right now? Take questions from anybody. Literally, I'm going to do a live interview tomorrow and do live questions. You know, I'm cool with taking questions from anybody. I really am. I don't mind it at all. And people that don't, they shouldn't be running for this position. They should just drop out of the race immediately, honestly, because it's shameful. And I don't care if you're an incumbent either. If you're an
Good.
incumbent and want to run on name ID, great, go for it, man. But to me, you're doing a disservice to the people. Greg Abbott won't even debate right now. You know, he's looking pretty poor right now among voters in Texas. They like people that will show up and debate and fight.
Slocum's out here looking for the smoke. He's ready to debate. Well, you survived the hot seat today. You're going to be on JP Warren's show doing live Q&A, so people will be able to call in, ask you some more tough questions there. Appreciate you coming in.
Awesome.
Today,
well, thanks for having me, man. And listen, anytime. I'm always available.